You ever find yourself in a stranger's apartment, mid-trip, unsure how you even got in? Yeah, that was me. It all started when I picked up these sketchy mushroom chocolates from a guy at this dive bar near my apartment. The guy swore they were mild, so I took two, because why not? I figured, chill night, solo trip, maybe catch some vibes and sleep it off. I should have known better. My place, it wasn't exactly the calm oasis you want during a psychedelic experience. I lived in a depressing concrete building, the kind with metal stairwells, flickering hallway lights, and neighbors that only talk to you to borrow a lighter or yell about noise. Anyway, by the time I got home, I was starting to feel it. Waves of warmth, time slowing, colors blending. But just as I'm settling in, I hear screaming from inside. My roommate Erin is tripping balls, wailing like a banshee, throwing stuff around the living room. Turns out, her idiot friend Jason gave her shrooms too, while she was already blackout drunk. Yelling about the walls breathing, I looked at Jason and said, "Nah, man, this isn't my circus." And I dipped. I couldn't handle that kind of chaos. I needed space. So I stepped out into the freezing Alberta winter night, hoodie barely zipped, no plan, just vibes. And the world was melting. The trees whispered secrets. Traffic lights pulsed like alien eyes. Even my phone screen looked like it was underwater. I called 5 people. Nobody answered. The bus wasn't coming for an hour, and I was starting to panic. So, in the most mushroom-brained logic ever, I walked up to a nearby apartment building and buzzed every single unit. "Hi, I'm here to visit my Aunt Sylvia. I forgot her apartment number. I think it's on the 3rd floor. Someone let me in." That's when I stumbled up 3 flights of stairs and passed out. Not in the hallway like a normal lost weirdo, but inside an unlocked, vacant apartment that had clearly been mid-dash renovation. No furniture, lights. Just a dusty floor, a space heater, and a half-eaten bag of trail mix someone had left behind. And in that crusty, echoing room, I lay down on my hoodie and passed out. Mid-trip alone, in a place I didn't belong. I woke up 2 hours later. 2 voices, not inside the apartment. Outside. Double quotes. Some guy's in there sleeping. I think he's homeless. Oh God. That's when I realized the nightmare was just beginning. I stepped outside, hoping the cold air would slow the trip down. Bad idea. It was maybe minus 10 degrees Celsius out there. Midwinter Alberta, the kind of cold that cuts through your hoodie like. It's paper, but I didn't care. My body was still warm with that early mushroom glow, and the night sky looked like it had been painted with melted crayons. My breath came out in long, slow spirals. I walked with no real direction, just needed to move. Think, breathe. Something about that apartment energy was toxic. Erin's screams still echoed in my ears. Jason had vanished, probably hiding in the bathroom. I wasn't about to deal with her turning into a banshee in a broom closet. I needed to be anywhere but there. The streets were quiet, almost too. Quiet, no cars, no people. Even the usual corner boys were gone. It was like I'd stepped into an alternate version of the city where everyone had disappeared 5 minutes before I arrived. Every flickering streetlight felt like a sign. Every parked car whispered. I could feel eyes on me, even though I knew logically no one was there. But logic had left the chat about 20 minutes ago. I tried calling a few people, no answer. One friend's voicemail glitched and looped the word hello, like 5 times before it cut off. That's when the paranoia really kicked in. I started. Walking faster, my legs felt jellyish, but I pushed through. At one point I passed a black SUV and swore I saw someone duck down inside. I stared too long. The taillights flicked on. Nope, not today. I turned and speed walked in the opposite direction, trying to act casual even though I looked like I was fleeing a crime scene. Eventually, I ended up near this random apartment building. The buzzer panel outside was covered in ice and scratched up. Names, I didn't have a plan. I just knew I had to get warm. I leaned into the panel and pressed random numbers. Yeah. A groggy voice answered, "Hey, It's me. I forgot my keys. Sylvia said you'd let me in. A pause. Click. Door unlocked. I walked in like I belonged there inside. It was warm, quiet, and smelled like laundry detergent and old carpet. I climbed to the third floor, like I said on the buzzer, and sat down in the stairwell landing. My body felt heavy now, like the weight of the trip was catching up with me. The floor was carpeted. Soft, kinda. Not comforting in a weird way. That's when I saw it. A door on the right slowly creaked open. I froze. A voice said, Sylvia. My mouth opened before my brain caught up. Yeah, sorry, wrong floor. The door creaked open further. An older lady, maybe late 50s, stepped out. It was curly gray hair, oversized sweater, holding a mug. She looked at me like I was a confused raccoon. You look cold, she said. Little bit, I replied, voice shaky. Just waiting for a ride. She stared for a moment, then gave a small sigh. All right, come in. Just don't steal anything. Before I could react, I was inside. Warm. Soft yellow lights. Knickknacks on every surface. A cat silently watched me from the hallway. I stood awkwardly in her living room. She pointed at the couch and said, sit or sleep. I don't care. I'm going to bed. And just like that, she disappeared down the hall, so I did what any mentally spiraling mushroom eater would do. I passed out on a stranger's couch with a throw blanket that smelled like cinnamon and cats. I woke up to chaos. I woke up to the sound of banging, like serious banging, not a knock, not someone politely tapping the door. This was two fists, spounding, door frame rattling, horror movie type banging. I sat up, groggy and disoriented, still wrapped in that cinnamon cat blanket. The living room was dim, and the old lady, Sylvia's neighbor, or whoever she was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she'd gone to work, or maybe I was still dreaming. Then it came again. Bang, bang, bang. The front door shuddered. I wasn't even sure if it was for this apartment or one next door. Everything was echoey, distorted. That lingering mushroom haze made the walls feel like they were breathing. My heart rate shot up. Sat completely still, trying to decide if I should hide, run, or just pretend to be asleep again and hope. It went away. I crept to the peephole. Outside was something, a woman, or maybe a woman-shaped thing. She was hunched over, swaying slightly, wearing a crusty, oversized parka that looked like it had survived a war. Her pants were torn at the knees, exposing dirty skin. Her boots were mismatched. One was a slipper. Her hair looked like it hadn't been washed in a decade, just one long, tangled mat hanging over her face. But her eyes? Her eyes were locked onto the peephole. Like she could see me, she grinned. Why, you in there? Her voice was cracked, raspy, too casual, like she was greeting an old friend. Or prey. I know you, she hissed. You're cute. I jumped back from the door like it was radioactive. What? The actual hell? This wasn't a hallucination. This wasn't a trip. She was real. Her voice was too sharp, too vivid. And the smell, somehow, through the closed door, I could smell her. Mildew, sweat, something metallic. I needed to get out of there. I grabbed my bag and tiptoed toward the balcony. 4th floor, not great. But maybe I could climb down through the fire escape. Just as I opened the sliding glass door, bang. Was that the back window now? How, I don't know. It didn't even face the hallway. There she was, palms flat against the glass, fogging it with her breath. You gonna let me in, baby? She croaked. I screamed. Just pure, stupid, tripping terror. I slid the door shut and bolted to the front. I didn't even check if the hallway was clear. I just ran. I burst out into the corridor, nobody around, and sprinted for the stairwell. My heartbeat was thunder in my ears. I practically flew down 4 flights of stairs in about 10 seconds. I hit the front lobby and nearly slipped on the tile. No sign of her, but the glass door out to the street had a smear across it, like someone had licked it. Outside, I didn't. Stop running until I reached the end of the block. I don't know how long I wandered after that. The trip was still lingering. Everything had a weird rainbow shadow, and streetlights looked like they were dripping. But the fear, the panic, that was 100% real. That's when I decided no more random couches. No more strangers. I needed to go home. Even with the chaos back there. Even with Aaron and Jason losing their minds. It felt safer than this, or so I thought. Because when I got back, the real nightmare hadn't even started yet. By the time I got back to my apartment complex, my legs were shaking and my hoodie was soaked in sweat, despite the freezing cold. The streets were nearly empty. Even the usual corner guy selling knockoff watches had packed up. It felt like the world had turned its back on me, like I'd slipped into some forgotten, alternate version of the city where everything familiar was just a little off. I approached my building cautiously. The fog from my breath hung in the air. My shoes crunched on the icy pavement. And then I saw her standing at the edge of the driveway. Same coat, same limp, same twisted grin, except now she wasn't muttering. She was just staring, her head tilted slightly like a confused bird. Her eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, neither of us moved. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my legs were frozen, trapped, like I was waiting for her to make the first move, and then she did. Asterisk, asterisk. "Hi, he sugar," she called out, her voice syrupy and cracked like broken glass. "Missed you." I stepped back, slowly. My keys were already in my hand, but I wasn't sure I'd make it to the door in time. My apartment was at the far end of the lot past her. No back entrance. No side gate. It was her or nothing. "I like you," she purred. "You're soft." Then she lunged. I sprinted. Hard in my throat, I dodged around a trash bin and cut across the lawn, slipping, stumbling, scrambling to the front steps. I could hear her boots, one thudding, one slapping, like some twisted metronome gaining speed behind me. As I reached the door, I saw the light on inside my brother Bill. Thank God. I banged the door with both fists, screaming, "Bill, open up! Open the door!" Through the small window, I saw him approaching, confused, probably thinking I was messing with him again. It peeked through the blinds, half laughing. "Dude, what's your—" And then he saw her. His expression dropped. "What the— Open it now." He fumbled the lock and cracked the door just enough for me to slip through. But as I did, her hand came out of nowhere, grime-covered nails like talons, and shoved her filthy boot into the frame. She pushed, Bill pushed back. I threw my shoulder into it. But she was unbelievably strong. It's like some wild animal running. On fumes and rage, "Let me in," she howled. "I just want to be loved." Her breath hit us like a wave. Rot, mold, urine, something coppery too, like dried blood. "Dude," Bill gagged. "What does that smell?" "I don't know," I shouted. "Just get her out." Bill backed up, bracing himself against the wall. I grabbed the edge of the door and yelled, "On 3. He nodded. 1, 2, 3. I slammed the door forward while Bill shoved his foot against hers, and she stumbled back just an inch, just enough. I swung the door shut. It hit like a thunderclap. Bam. We locked it. Deadbolt. Chain. Even dragged a chair under the handle. Then silence. Just the sound of both of us, panting like we'd run a marathon. Bill looked at me wide-eyed and said, "What the hell was that?" "Don't know," I whispered. "I don't even think she's human." He blinked. "Are you still tripping?" "Maybe," I admitted. "She's real, and she's out there." We stood in silence for a long moment. Then, like some cruel joke, the doorbell rang. "Ding dash dong," we both screamed. The doorbell echoed through the apartment again. Ding dash dong, this time slower. Almost playful, Bill was backed up against the far wall, holding a lamp like it was a weapon. I couldn't tell if he was terrified or trying to joke his way through it, but I was done pretending this was some random crazy person. Something was seriously wrong. I tiptoed to the peephole. She was gone. No footsteps, no retreating shuffle. Just cold air and the empty porch light flickering above the doormat. "She's not there," I said. "Good," Bill exhaled. "Let's call someone." I shook my head. "Who?" "The cops." What do I even say? There's a horror movie extra trying to eat me outside my house. They'll just ask how many mushrooms I took. Bill opened his mouth to reply, but Suddenly, from the back of the apartment, we heard it. A creak. Not from the front door, from inside. We both froze. I turned slowly toward the hallway. The back bedroom door was cracked open just slightly, but it wasn't like that before. I was sure I'd been in there earlier. It always creaked loudly, and I definitely closed it, Bill whispered. Tell me that was you. It wasn't. We stared at the hallway like it was a portal to hell. And then, a laugh, high-pitched, gurgling, like someone trying to force joy through a throat full of phlegm. Oh, hell no, I whispered. We crept down the hallway like two amateur ghost hunters. Bill was holding the lamp tighter than ever, and I picked up an umbrella. Not exactly a sword, but it made me feel slightly less exposed. The hallway light flickered. Classic. Bill muttered. When we reached the door, I leaned in. The laugh stopped. Silence. I looked at Bill. He nodded. We both took a deep breath, and then we shoved the door open. Nothing. Just the empty room. Curtains swaying slightly, even though the window was shut. Closet door still closed. No one under the bed. I even opened the drawers out of paranoia. Maybe. I started. Maybe we imagined bang. A sudden slam echoed from the kitchen. We sprinted back into the living room and found the back door swinging open. Snow was blowing in. The same snow I'd just come through. She was inside. Bill shouted, how the hell, I don't know. I locked that door myself. We shut and bolted it. Every lock, every latch. Bill dragged the kitchen table in front of it, and then we saw it on the wall, next to the fridge. Written in what looked like grease or maybe something worse, "Sugar belongs to me." We both stared at it, jaws hanging open. Bill said it first. Who's Sugar? I didn't answer, because deep down, I already knew. That's what she called me earlier. Outside. Shay's talking about me, I whispered. Bill stepped back like he was in a dream. Dude, you brought something into this house. Yeah, I muttered. And I don't think it's planning to leave. There was a sudden pounding on the window, not a knock. A full slam. We dropped to the floor instinctively, hiding beneath the windowsill. The shadows outside flickered as someone or something moved past. Bill whispered, we need to get out of here now. We can't, I said. She's out there, and she got in once. She can get in again. Another bang. It's time from the bathroom. We looked at each other. How many doors you got in this place? Bill asked. I didn't answer because that was the worst part. There was only one way out. Bill was pacing in the kitchen, clutching that stupid lamp like it could save his life. I was by the hallway closet, shoving chairs and boxes in front of the bathroom door like a makeshift barricade. This isn't working, he said. We're trapped in here like mice. She's got the whole place surrounded. She's not just outside, I said, glancing nervously down the dark hallway. She was in here. We both heard her. Bill shivered. I swear I saw something in the hallway just now, like a reflection. But it was gone when I looked again. I checked the front door. Still locked, still bolted. But now the peephole was blacked out, not covered, just dark. I leaned in slowly. It was like something on the other side was pressing up against the lens, staring in, or worse. Waiting. Okay, no, I muttered. We're not staying here. I don't care how cold it is out there. I grabbed my jacket and tossed one to Bill. But just as I turned the knob, something whispered behind me, clear as day. Sugar. I froze. Hand on the door. That voice, it wasn't just whispering my name, it was inside my head. I spun around, nothing behind me. Bill looked pale, his lips moving but no sound coming out. He pointed at the wall near the hallway. Another message had appeared. Don't you remember me? Written in the same smeared grease, or blood. I wasn't checking, remember you? I whispered. Suddenly, my mind flashed to something buried deep, a memory I hadn't thought about in years. I was a kid, maybe 8 or 9, visiting my grandmother at her old apartment building. There was a woman who lived down the hall. Sweet, always gave me candy. She used to call me Sugar. She disappeared one day. Everyone thought she moved. But I remember something else, something darker, something no one talked about. Bill, I said, we need to go now. Wait, what's happening? You're freaking me out before. I could explain. The lights flickered once, twice, and then went out. Total darkness. Then footsteps. Not fast, not stomping, dragging from the bathroom, then the hallway, then the living room. I whispered, "Don't move." But Bill did. He turned his head toward the sound. A shadow passed between us. We both saw it, tall, twisted, like someone who used to be human but had forgotten how to move like one, and then it crouched right in front of us. We couldn't see her face, but we heard her voice. "I missed you." "Sugar Bill!" screamed, and through the lamp, it shattered, and for a split second, the flash of sparks and glass, we saw her. She looked like melted wax. Pale eyes, mouth too wide. Wearing the same dress I remember her in as a kid, she was smiling, like this was a reunion. I grabbed Bill and yanked him toward the door. The handle burned my hand, but I didn't stop. I ripped the door open and shoved us both into the snowy hallway. The door slammed behind us and locked. From the inside, we ran. No shoes, no sense of direction. Just sprinted into the night like maniacs until we were halfway down the block. Finally, collapsed under a flickering streetlight, breathing hard. Barely. Able to speak, Bill turned to me. "What the hell just happened?" I looked back at the building. Every light was off, except for 1/3. FLOORA silhouette stood in the window waving. I didn't wave back. I just whispered, "I think I stayed in the wrong apartment." A week later, I found a thread about our building. In one photo, my blood froze. It was her. Same coat, same face. Her name was Margaret Lynn. She awed in that very apartment over 10 years ago. No one found her for months. Want to guess where I slept that night? Yep, her old unit. I don't know what I saw. I don't know if it was the shrooms, a ghost, or something worse. But whatever it was, it knew me. It waited. It spoke my name, my brother refuses to talk about that night. Says I imagined it all, but I still have the bruises from holding that door shut. And sometimes, when I sleep, I hear her voice at my window whispering, "You've got a sweet ass. Let me in." So, yeah, I don't do mushrooms anymore. If this story gave you goosebumps, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications for more messed up stories you won't believe are real. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if that thing came for you? Stay safe, and whatever you do, don't open the door, asterisk.